Welcome to the Parenting with Confidence podcast. I am your host, Teresa Alexander Inman, board certified behavior analyst and infant toddler developmental specialist. This morning, today, I am so thrilled to welcome Tess Scott. She is a former Black sheep turned Jesus girl. I can relate there, former Black sheep turned Jesus girl. She's a mom of 8 boys and spunky Grammy with a heart above the eye to a whole slew of adorable grandkids. She began this Listen Sister Encouragement for Women ministry in 2020, where you can find her blog post at tessscott.com and her Listen Sister pages on Facebook and Instagram. She continues to live her life of hilariously awkward moments in Sarnia, Ontario, to the ongoing embarrassment of her family.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Oh my gosh. And like you were telling me, Sarnia is like 15 minutes from end to end. So it's so small. Everybody knows everyone. And I could only imagine what that is like.
I love it though. I love it. I'm from actually a small town. Like I was raised on a farm. So in our little village is really small. So truly everyone knew everyone back then. Not so much in Sarnia. It's bigger than that.
Right.
Comparatively, like if we're comparing to Toronto or something, it's pretty small. It's pretty small.
Exactly. Goodness, I grew up in Toronto and there was only one time I remember, a couple of neighborhoods where I lived where I actually knew my neighbors, but often you just come and you go because everybody has opposing schedules and, you may see somebody and it's just, it takes a lot more to get to know the people around you in a big city.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that we're really missing that. I think that it's important to be connected to other people and that our society now is missing that like village. It's good to have, I have my BFF, I have my couple of my 3 really close friends, but also it's important to have that village behind that of people that are all supporting each other.
Absolutely. And I think that's a lot, it probably contributes to a lot of what why the world is the way it is today. Because there's really because when you have that village, you actually had accountability. We don't have that anymore. And that is just so sad. Yeah. I knew growing up, the neighbors would see me do something and my grandma knew.
Yes, that's right. That my husband often says that to our youngest son, there is someone everywhere who knows one of us.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that you can do that we won't find out about. So there's nothing that you can do that one of your brothers hasn't already done and nothing that we won't find out about. So really, there's no hope. You can't get into trouble. That's what we were hoping. That's what we said.
That's it. No, it's so true. And there's protection in that, right? Because just as, okay, I may do something that could get me into trouble, or I could be the one in trouble. And because people know me and people, they know my parents or my grandparents, they will act to keep me safe. So, but again, we've lost so much of that because nobody wants anybody in their business.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're doing your child a disservice. Come on, please.
But it's like a negative way of looking at it, where I look at it as a positive.
Yes.
That's a positive thing. When we lived in a small village, when our children were younger, like now my youngest one is just 19. So yay, they're all growing up. And but when they were small, and I'll tell you a real quick story. TJ, I think he would have been like 9. I think he was 9. And TJ special needs. I adopted him. He has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So anyways, he was at school. The public school was about a block from our house. So he was able to walk there by himself and back. And he's number 7 of 8 boys. So most of them are out. There's only one other one in the public school. Anyway, so I get home from work, and usually I arrive about the time the boys are walking home. So I get home from work and the phone rings. So, it's back when there was phones on the wall, and
Yes.
I picked it up and answered it like this in the olden days. And there's a woman on the phone, and she says, Tess, yes, this is Barb from the variety store, the Dairy Mart variety store, down the street. I'm like, hi, Barb. I don't know her though, just knew her name, And then she says, you're Tristan's mom or TJ's mom, aren't you? And I said, yes. I'm thinking right away, like, oh no, what happened? And she said, he was in here with a $20 bill and he was trying to buy some energy drinks. And I thought, I bet you don't let him have energy drinks. So I told him he had to go home and ask his mom. And I said, thank you, because he does not get to have energy drinks. And also, I don't know where he got $20. So, and I think that, so anyway, he did. Eventually he went next door, got a slice of pizza for him and his brother, walked home, shared, and he wasn't trying to get in trouble. But what had happened was that day in school, they learned about how to go to the bank and take out money out of your account. I mean, it's a life skill. It was, and he listened. So after school, the boy went to the bank. They knew who he was because everybody knows everybody. He said, I know how to do this. He took out $20 out of his account and tried to buy some Monster energy drinks. Now that's where it went wrong. So it would have been terrible if he had energy drinks, because he did not need that help. So he didn't do anything wrong and he didn't get in trouble. But I was so thankful that other people were like watching out, to just say, like, if he's allowed to have it, send him back,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. And it just speaks to the importance of having that protective barrier around your children, not so protective that they can't live and we're not allowing them to explore life, but just having that, group of people that can be alert and let you know, or, God forbid he went missing. Hey, I saw him at 4 o'clock over here. I saw him at 2:55 here, just all of those things that could help.
Yeah, that's right. And it wasn't that he couldn't spend the money or that he couldn't get a drink. Like he could go back and get a ginger ale.
Right.
Or anything else, but I don't think they're healthy. And he certainly did not need to have more caffeine in his life. He was already a little spazzy. So yeah, and it was good. It was a good lesson for me too, to kind of, not freak out and just like work through it. Okay, so what's the actual issue here? Right? He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't, it was his money. He didn't steal it from me. It wasn't out of, and all of that. So yeah, it was an interesting day. That's for sure. One of many.
That's awesome. Yeah, and he learned an important life skill.
Yeah. He had such great teachers at that school. They were just really amazing, and such a tight group of kids, because they were together for those years. And he's still connected to some of them, and he's 24 now. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful.
Yeah, he's a great kid. Yeah.
Awesome.
When I adopted Tristan, that's his name. I call him TJ, but I got him as a foster child. So they called me from CAS, we call it, right? And said, will you take this little guy? He's 7 weeks early, 4 pounds, and you'll have him for 2 weeks. So, I mean, they clearly lie, because he's 24 and I still have him. But they said, we know you don't want to adopt. And I'm like, I don't want to adopt. And if I did, it wouldn't be a boy, So I thought, there you go. We don't know what the future is going to hold. But I had no idea anything about him. I knew nothing, and we don't know about our kids, I guess. But I didn't know that he had fetal alcohol. I didn't know that he was going to be special needs. So I found that out. I learned that, and I will never forget the day they called me to the school. He was in grade 3, and the school went like JK to grade 3 over here, grade 4 to 8 in a separate location. So it was the teacher and the like guidance counselor sort of person who said, when he goes to grade 4, we want to put him in full-time like special needs class, I think it was called, or something. And I said, great, because I mean, all the kids in his class, he had an EA, all the kids in his class were learning, how to find the circumference of a square. He wasn't sure which one was a square. Like, wasn't a very good fit for him. And, but I said, so will he go to high school when he's like 14 or when he's at a grade 9 level of learning? And I remember this woman, like this teacher looking at me, like I had two heads maybe, and just said like, he probably will never have that grade 9 level of learning. And I had no idea, even though I had raised him from birth and he hit milestones at different, a lot slower than my other kids, but he was also 7 weeks early. So, I thought, okay, adjusted age, he'll catch up, all this. And I had no idea. It was shocking to me. But the great thing was, once I understood that, once my husband and I came to that, realization, our expectations for him were way more appropriate, right? Our frustration with him was way less because I understood what to expect. I didn't know, he didn't learn the same as the other kids, like with the other boys before him. As long as I was consistent, if we were consistent with our, rewards or discipline or whatever it was, I knew what to expect, but he was like a whole new ball game, man.
Wow. Yeah. And it's so important for us to understand that. And also, you just highlighted the importance of working with the school, working with the teacher, because a lot of times teachers see something that us as parents don't see. And we need to really hone into that and develop that relationship, because if we don't, because you're the expert on your child in one area, the teacher is the expert in your child in another area. Come together and make it work.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes teachers call too often and they only focus on negative. And I always encourage teachers, please start with something positive. And whatever you have to say, make it sound more constructive as opposed to negative. Your child did. No, this happened. And this is how the child responded to what happened. Instead of blaming the child and making it that, when the phone rings, the parents don't answer next time because of the way they were approached. And I've seen it. And honestly, I was that parent one time. I had a foster child. My husband and I fostered a child. And I was so tired of the school calling me. And I work in the same school district. And I was at school and my phone rang and I don't normally answer my phone or even look at it when it rings one of my school. And I saw it was his school calling. And I was like, you know what? They're going to have to just call my husband because I'm not going to do this right now. They need to, because I tried with them, to get with them and work some things out with them. And they would say, well, we can't do that. But I'm telling you what works for him. And you're telling me you can't do it. So now I don't know what else to say. And right now I am not in the headspace to talk to you. So I chose not to, because I had to also protect myself.
Yeah.
But it's vitally important to work with your children's, educational staff.
And they see different things than parents do, right? They get a different outlook on the child. He responded differently to them, to them than to us. So yeah, we learned.
Yes, absolutely. Because, now he's with other children, yes, you have 8, but they're at different levels and different ages. So not all of them were probably at home at the time. So now he's with a group of children. They're all, his age, and he has to navigate that world. So there are challenges with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And kids are challenging anyway. I mean, like we have a huge family that is, like I said, like adopted and blended and all that. And my oldest son is 37, which is amazing because I barely think I'm 37 myself. And, and the youngest one is 19. And they're like, not one of them wasn't a challenge at some point on one day or another. Right. They're just different. Everyone's different. Some were challenges in different ways, but no matter what your kids are like as a parent, there's going to be challenging days, right? So, and that's what I want to do, is to encourage other women that they're not alone. We're all in this freak show of life. Your freak show may look different than my freak show. Maybe you don't have 8 kids, but maybe you have one kid who's driving you nuts today. I get it.
Exactly. And we had a little bit of a freak show before the podcast started today. You just
Yeah.
learn to roll with it, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, at a time, in a day and age where so many parents feel hopeless,
Mm.
can you throw them a lifeline? What can you say to help them, help give them some hope?
hmm So the thing that I always want to stress, and mostly I speak to women, but it's the same for men, is to fill your head with truth, right? To know what is true and keep thinking about that. Because whatever, like I don't necessarily, unless I'm intentional, realize the thoughts that I'm putting in my head.
Mhm.
So maybe it's from watching the news full time, like, no, thank you. Or, what music I'm listening to, or what I'm reading, or whatever it is putting something in my head, and it's going around and around on this little racetrack in my brain. And it's going to go enough times, there's going to be ruts, and then it's going to just keep on going. And the things I'm thinking are going to affect my emotions. My emotions are going to affect my actions, which can lead to really embarrassing, awkward, sad, devastating results sometimes. So I want to go back to the things I'm thinking and what I'm putting in my head. Like, what are you putting in your head? What do you know to be true? And then taking those thoughts, and the Bible says to hold our thoughts captive,
Mhm.
right? And compare them to what's true. And the only way I know what is true is by reading truth. So that's my bottom line, is fill your head with truth all the time.
But what if something has become true for you because of, like you said, of all those ruts that you
Mhm.
you thought it so much, I'll never get this. I'm no good at this. I'm a horrible parent. I don't have time for this. And all these things that you keep telling yourself that through, I don't know, self-fulfilling prophecies you've made true for yourself.
Mm.
Is there a way to get out of that?
Yeah, I think that the second part of that is like having someone who comes alongside you, or someone and you come alongside them, like a friend, or someone that you can hold them to that truth. Like, so when you're saying to your best friend, man, I'm such a loser, like, you're not a loser. You feel like a loser right now, but don't let them away with that, right? Don't, like, hold them to what is actually true, right? What is the one who made you? What does he say you are? You're accepted, you're loved, you're unique, you are all these things. And you need, like, sometimes we need another person, whether that's your husband or wife, or whether that's your friend, to just hold you to what is true. Is that true? Like, just a second here. It's okay that you can say, I feel like I'm a loser. I'm sorry that you feel like you're a loser, but the truth is you're not, right?
Wow, you just took me back to when I was like 19 years old. And I honestly had the worst self esteem. And
Mm.
my friend Bev, I'd say these things to her because I felt comfortable saying, oh, I'm this and I never will, and la da da. And she saw me say, T, out of all my friends, you have accomplished this. Out of all my friends, you have. And I was just like, really? Like, this is, you really think this of me? Is this really who and she would always point to facts.
Yes.
And that really helped bring me out of my head. And it just made me think too, because Tony Robbins says, if you're in your head, you're dead. Because we stay in our head and listen to the lies that we tell ourselves instead of looking at the facts and really believing them, embracing them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have had successes in so many areas, but we tend to push them back and just look at the one thing that we're struggling with, the one barrier that we have probably put in our way, instead of looking at, okay, you know what? Yesterday, I got the dishes done. Wow. I was, first of all, listen, I got out of bed. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
There's days, yeah.
Exactly. That in itself was an accomplishment. And, I spent some time in prayer and meditation. I just took maybe 5 minutes for myself to set me up for the day. And,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to get a morning routine in, and then also getting an evening routine in so that I can feel, okay, I check some things off a box. Because that's like, would you agree though, having that like visual, I did it, well, that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a check off the box person. And also I like laughing. right? I want to make people laugh and I want to laugh, and it feels good to laugh. So having something funny on, in the background, or like happy music, like
Mhm.
how can you be sad when you have like really happy music? Even that song, Happy from Despicable Me, like, and dancing in your kitchen, and it doesn't have to cost anything to
Right.
put on like fun music. It just, I don't know. I think it's just really, it's important to laugh and to, yeah, think of happy things.
Oh my gosh, so true. I remember my doctor, Dr. Heller, once said to me, a good belly laugh is better than medicine. So I always make it a point to get a good belly laugh. Well, I shouldn't say that. I try to make it a point to get a
Yeah.
good belly laugh as often as possible because
Yeah.
it just changes everything.
Yeah.
I also heard of a story where a woman was sentenced by her doctor to watch comedy shows. He's like, listen, get a hotel room and just watch comedy shows all weekend because she was feeling depressed. And
Yeah.
that's what she did. And that helped her out of that depression because you can't laugh and be depressed at the same time.
I know. And you can't laugh and what is it? You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. So that's another thing, right? Finding things every day to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right, Miss Tessa, I'm going to ask you, make us laugh.
Oh, well, I did write a book.
Right.
Yeah, and the book, it has lots and lots of funny stories in, and I don't know how many are like laugh out loud funny, but I was telling a story yesterday about we had a dog. So for some reason, because I thought like, hey, here we are with these 8 kids, we should get a dog. I don't know. I blame back medication for that, I think. But anyway, we got this dog, and the dog was actually an escape artist. So no matter what we did, it would get out. And our backyard wasn't fenced, but like we did live in a little village, so everyone knew whose dog it was. So, it was safe and everything. But one day I went to work, or yeah, I must have went out somewhere anyways. I don't think I was at work, but it doesn't matter, that we had one of those spiral things that you have in the backyard, that you put like down into the ground, and then it has a chain on it and it hooked up to the dog. So I came home from work, or from wherever I was, and I had a message on the answering machine, in the day when you had to push play and rewind and all that back then,
Yeah.
my phone on the wall. And it's like, hey, Tess, this is Leon over at the bank. And someone said your dog is walking down the main street. And I look at the back and the dog's not out there. I'm like, oh my word, no, no, no. And she's like, I'm pretty sure that they're saying it's your dog. Now it's pulling this chain with this whirligig thing on it, walking down the main street. Now in the whirligig, there's a scooter and a Tonka dump truck, and it looks kind of like a GI Joe something or other, and it's just pulling that all down the main street. Like, that is not my dog. I don't know whose dog that is. I do not want anyone to know that that is my dog. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
always something. There's
Yeah.
always something. But you have to laugh at yourself. You have to
Yeah.
laugh at yourself. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And find somebody. And actually, well, it's funny because one day I did something and my husband laughed, and it's just like, it's not funny. He goes, well, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. I'm like, well, I don't want you laughing at me.
Yeah. 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 That's right. I can laugh at myself, but no. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's important.
Exactly. Wow. So, give me just a couple of examples as to how you know that your life is a freak show.
Oh, well, um, all the things. Um, once I was standing in the grocery store, because like, again, small town, only one grocery store. And that's where everyone met everyone else. And they're standing in the aisles, just talking. And I overheard these 2 women talking about these 2 cute little kids out in the parking lot pooping beside the dumpster. And I thought, that's hilarious. And then suddenly I thought, are those my kids? Those were my kids. Yes, they were. I don't know why they were doing that. Like we lived down that street, but still we have a bathroom in our house. We had 2 bathrooms in our house, indoor plumbing, even in that town.
Wow.
So, I asked them when I came home, like, hey, some people were saying this, like, did you do that? And they're like, yeah. Why? we had to go, like coincidentally, both at the same time. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There
Wow.
was just so many things, so many things. But I'm I'm thankful for it because well, it makes me laugh
Right.
and other people laugh. And I've learned lessons from it. Really. Like I've learned to not take myself seriously, but also other things that I've learned from it. And I've been able to encourage other women that they're not alone. Because I think that when I was a young mom back then and I had this, you know, phone, rotary dial phone on the wall,
Yeah.
so I'd call up my friends and I'd hear that their life was also imperfect. Like I could hear their kids screaming in the background, just like mine, or I'd go over there and their house was a mess, just like mine, you know? And if you have kids and your house looks like you have kids, good, it should, because you have kids. That's okay.
Yes.
But if you are connecting with your friends on social media and you see their house on Instagram and it's this beautiful house with the wreath on the door and the pumpkin on the porch, and you think, wow, her life is perfect. I just want to encourage you that if you walk into that girl's house, into her living room, there is laundry on her couch, just like your house, because none of us have perfect lives. We're all living a freak show of life. They all look different, but none of our lives are perfect. Like perfect.
Yes. So true. So true. A friend of mine once said, the grass always looks greener until you get a closer look and you realize it's astroturf.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But there's a lot of comparison, I think. Our society really compares, and social media is a big part of that, I
It
think.
is. And
Mhm.
virtual Zoom backgrounds. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yeah. Oh no, this is real. This is all real.
Yeah.
See those little boots? Those are mine. Yeah. This is
Oh,
all
no, I can tell because the thing with virtual Zoom backgrounds, you tend to fade sometimes if you move your
Oh
head one way or
yeah.
the other. It's like, wait, I lost you. Where'd you
Exactly.
go?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. No, I'm not techie enough for that. That's probably
Yeah.
why.
Me
Yeah.
either. So that's why, I was telling you, I don't edit, I don't do any of those things because, again, I just want to relate to people. It's like we're not perfect.
That's right.
And we didn't rehearse this. We just came on and just started talking, and it
Yeah.
just went where it went. And I think it's been lovely.
Thank you. And that's why I left my hair like this, so
Yeah,
that other women who also have hair days can say, hey, I relate to Tess. Look, you know,
that's
I always
funny.
say that I speak sometimes to women in groups and on stage and stuff. And I think like if I have a clothing malfunction, then all the other women are like, yes, I've also worn my dress inside out. I get it. Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I do it. That's why I do
Of course it is.
it. No, it's not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, if you wish that parents would have one takeaway from this session, what would it be?
Hmm. Well, fill your head with truth.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. You have to go back to that. You have to go back to what you know to be true and when you say something and like encouraging other people around you to keep their heads full of truth, like your husband or your wife or your friend, bring them back to it. Like, is that true? Just a minute. That is not true. You are not dumb. You just did something dumb though, but you are not dumb yourself, you know. Yeah, I think that's important.
Awesome. And I agree with you totally. And if you're questioning whether it's true, write it down and then
Mhm.
read it, look at it. Somebody said that to me one day, or say it out loud and hear yourself. Like, does it even feel true? Does it even, make sense when you say it out loud?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I
yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Tess. It has been wonderful. And maybe we can do this again.
Yeah. Can I tell you about my book for a sec?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Okay. Just a sec. I have to reach it. I left it on the side over here. Hold on 1 second. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna show you. See it?
All right. Listen,
Listen,
sister.
because have you felt like that? Yes, we have
Wow.
all felt like that. Listen, sister, finding hope in the freak show of life. So it's available at bookstores everywhere, all the Barnes and Noble and Chapters and Amazon and everything. It's short little chapters like chicken soup for the soul sort of thing. You can just read one in the bathroom while your kids are banging on the bathroom door, and hopefully you'll be encouraged.
Awesome. Wonderful. And you know what? I'm going to read it because, again, in the freak show of my life, Tess sent me the link to the book and I missed it. So I'm going to read it and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it. Would you be okay with that?
I'd love that. I would love it. Yeah.
Awesome. And I also want to send people to tessscott.com. That's TESSSCOTT.com.
Right.
And learn from her, laugh, live out loud.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.